Just a little bit of introduction of myself. I'm Ismael Kawooya. My background is medicine, clinical epidemiology, which is basically research and statistics. So when Princess Kumatali was talking about areas to do with respiratory health, it took up my fancy because I engaged with my colleagues at the Lung Institute, that is Makerere Lung Institute, who have done quite a bit of work around respiratory diseases, that is diseases that cause, that affect our lungs, the airways, out of indoor air pollution. There are quite many, but most of them are really around diseases like asthma or chronic, what we call chronic obstructive diseases, pulmonary diseases. And I'm sure you, in this room, many of you have a child or someone who has asthma. It's quite high on that. So when she was talking, one of the things that came to my mind is the need to communicate to wider audiences. Because when you go to those in health, they actually know about diseases that come out of cooking from within the house, using charcoal and all these pollutants that we generate. Unfortunately, this is the second time I'm hearing that in communities like this, they don't know about this. And I mentioned to Dr. Nicholas the other day that I should get to my colleagues at Lung Institute and tell them that I see a lot of webinars from you guys, but it looks like those webinars only attract doctors who already know what you're talking about. Yeah, anyway. So that gets me to who we are. Center for Rapid Evidence Synthesis is who they call us, or what we call ourselves. And we basically work with those who make decisions to help them find that evidence. To clarify, we don't generate the evidence. We find it. As I've just given an example of those who are working on diseases in respiratory diseases, we know that the evidence is out there. And you would be surprised that it is quite a lot. Sometimes you don't need to reinvent. Sometimes you don't need to reinvent the wheel and spend a lot of money trying to understand what has already been done. You just need to find it and see whether it actually answers your question. So what ACAS does is start from, let's say, Princess Kumatali. She has needs that she mentioned. What are those needs? How can research help you answer those needs? The research that is available, how can it help you answer those needs? Can we understand, can we clarify what you're actually asking and be certain that this is what you want to learn? We find most of the times that when we work with policymakers, they ask questions where they feel the evidence isn't there. But when you talk to them and help them see what exactly they're asking, we work, or I always say that our best tool is trying to ask. If you learn how to ask the questions, you will help the other person answer 40%. So as we try to ask the questions, as we try to clarify that, we also help you learn about these things. If you say, how many syrups does a mother use in treating respiratory diseases? One of the things we'll try to understand is that what kind of syrups I'm sure mothers will talk about amoxicillin. That's an antibiotic. You're probably thinking about cough syrups, which is something else. And when you talk about cough syrups, children always pick up cough from kids. They go to school, there's a lot of cough. So when you talk about that, we try to help you expand it and show you the broad range of what actually you're talking about. But when you're talking about, when you're going to, we're talking about syrups like ascoril or inhalers, then you're getting to the actual cause that this is really asthma. And children actually are getting a lot of asthma from the charcoal that we use. Unfortunately, translating that evidence isn't that simple, because when research is being conducted, it is not conducted because it wants to answer your question that you have. They are answering a question, they call it a research question, that the researcher has, and the researcher will try to justify it from the other evidence that has been produced. They will try to justify it from their experience, not necessarily from the practitioner or from the policymaker, and they'll go ahead to do it. But when they answer these questions, they have so many results. And those results, when we distill and get to the nitty-gritties of those results, we find that actually those results answer quite a lot of what we want. If we understand how they did it, if we understand the quality of how they did it, we're able to answer these questions. So what ACRES does is work with policymakers, understand what is it that they want to know, and that is in relation to the policies and the decisions that they want to make. When do they want it, and can we find that evidence? We'll go and find it, make sure that it is what you're looking for. We make sure that it is of quality, because not every research, because someone says I have done research, does not mean that it is the one that you're looking for. We have a saying that garbage in, garbage out. Because you have a paper that has been published does not mean it is the right one. A lot of it is actually poor quality. You may need someone who understands, who is able to read that and tell you that this is probably not helpful, or this will probably not answer what you're looking for because of its quality, or because it looks at different kinds of settings or different people. We may need to look elsewhere. So that basically is what ACRES does.
Thank you, Dr. Kawooya. You highlighted that you don't collect the evidence, but you actually use the evidence. And the next question was going to be, how do you use the evidence? How do you translate it to policy? But you saved us a lot of time and you answered that as well. Thank you very much.